Let's do a roll call as we get ready for our first game of Strange Reflections.
All right.
GM is obviously here. You can hear him talking. Michael, are you audio up, ready to go?
I'm here, Michael Carmona, playing as David Barnes.
Mr. Matthew, are you with us?
Yes, I am here, and I'm playing Catherine Jackson, also known as Kathy Jackson.
Kathy Jackson. That's not what I need. I need the adventure. It would be very helpful. There we are. My wife is playing... What'd you decide to name her character, sweetie?
Virtual Swindlehurst.
Virtual Swindlehurst?
Yep.
All right. And I am playing Tyree Jiao Washington Mondesir. Commonly just goes by Tyree. It may seem odd to have the referee playing a character, but since we have such a small group, I have found it's a good way to not only guide the adventure, but also to have enough characters on camera that there is tension in the group and story gets added to. Forbidden Lore is a simple 66 role-playing game. We are using the Detailed Skilled System option. The game year is 1999. The setting is the Windy City of the United States. Sweet Home, Chicago. And all the players have been summoned to the reading of a will, as well as having to attend a funeral, because a relative they did not know of, a gentleman by the name of Ulysses Dupree, has suddenly deceased. Ulysses had a great life. The players may have or may not have ever encountered him. Ulysses ran a Antiquities shop in Chicago. Now, Chicago is a major transport hub. Let me quickly drop in the Discord. Where's my downloads? There they are. The shingle for the shop. If you check the general chat, you'll see the shingle for the shop. It is listed as Curiosities, Antiques and Curios from around the world, established in 1884.
Clearly, this is some cover-up for some kind of conspiracy.
What could that conspiracy be? Let me hear it, Mr. Conspiracy Theorist.
I don't know. Clearly some government conspiracy. We'll just go with that because that's the low-hanging fruit.
All she knows right now. These are characters that were just made today, so things are going to be a little rough in this first session. This is kind of a shakedown session, that's okay. I want you all to picture Chicago like it was in the late 1990s. If I recall correctly, Barack Obama is actually a sitting spokesperson on the council. Is that correct? Check that fact.
Yeah, but he wasn't all no.
Check that real quick. According to this, he was a community organizer until '88. Spent time lecturing up until '96. Senior lecturer from '96 to 2004. So yeah, he's not very active in government yet. He becomes a senator. I take that back. He's elected to the Illinois Senate in '97. So actually, he is currently doing stuff in their version of the Senate for the state. The city, if I recall correctly, the late '90s had just a touch of a crime problem. Always has. Always has. Sorry, that's my pessimism speaking. And the players know there's certain things about Chicago that you should expect when you arrive. I want to say that no one's a native. Or actually, your character has to be, Mike. You probably live out in the version of the suburbs Chicago has. But there's a few things about Chicago you should know. One, it's called the Windy City for a reason. Sitting right next to the Great Lakes and in the middle of an alluvial plain, the wind can just whip along and knock you over, literally, when you're on the streets. And those tall high-rises they have now just kind of channel the wind onto you. It's usually pretty cold. You don't dress like we do down here in the South, casually. Almost everybody's always wearing a jacket or something. Chicago has got a couple of food items it is famous for. The first is the only pizza. Everything else is but a pale imitation, kind of like Plato's Forms. Chicago deep dish pizza is the way pizza was always meant to be served. Chicago also has the thing with its hot dogs that we don't do here in the South, where you dress the thing up like it's a banquet in and of itself. No matter how bad they are doing, you do not speak shit about the Cubs. That does not happen. Or the Bears. That does not happen. And finally, the Blues Brothers are widely reputed to have actually lived at some point, and the movie was based upon them. The Blues in Chicago go hand in hand, although Chicago Blues is very different than Delta Blues. Delta Blues tends to have very simple rhythms and a bit of a repetitiveness to it. Chicago Blues is much more akin to hard rock.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago is a very interesting place. There are musicals made about it, several books, and you all know the area fairly well. So nothing here is going to shock you. The only thing on the invitations you receive that gives you any cause for pause is that you've never heard of this relative before. At least not most of you, unless you wish to declare you wish to do so, in which case then we need to have a slightly separate scene.
His name again?
Ulysses Dupree.
Ulysses Dupree.
All I gotta say is, yes. Chicago hot dogs are how hot dogs are meant to be. And then I got nothing to say.
Turn in your Southerner card. Only thing that's supposed to go on hot dogs is ketchup and mustard, damn it. Maybe a little bit of relish. All right. It is a bright Friday morning when you are scheduled to meet the attorney. He has an office in the middle of downtown Chicago. This will mean, of course, that going into Chicago, you might want to... Well, you really would want to carry your firearm with you if you have a firearm, but I would say it's probably best that you don't, as they have very different firearm laws than we do here in the South. Is anybody packing?
I am not. Though I probably should be.
I have an extendable baton and mace.
Okay.
Funny thing is, Carol does, whenever she goes on the subway, even though she does not have a concealed carry permit, and it drives me to distraction.
Carol doesn't have a permit? Did I just hear you say that your character's wife?
She doesn't have a concealed carry permit yet. She insists on sneaking guns on the subway because otherwise she doesn't feel safe. She saw a movie once and it freaked her out.
I thought Chicago only had an L.
L?
Has an L.
Yeah, I didn't think it had a subway.
That's right,
It only
there's
has the L.
thing. Yeah, never mind. Sorry, I'm still in New York mode. My apologies.
We will forgive you your blasphemy this once.
Right.
Writing down that note real quick. All right, so, Ruthie, is your paranoid character taking a gun or some kind of weapon with them?
Yes.
Good, because if not, I was going to make you make a mental test.
He's got a small gun tucked in his ankle, and he's got a buck knife, like, hidden in his jacket.
Okay, we're going to assume the gun is some kind of .22 caliber pistol. It's probably got 5 or 6 shots. You all arrive at the offices. When you first walk into the lobby, it seems the perfectly normal thing you would expect. Bright lights, tasteful art, secretary with her hair back in a bun. She comes up to the party and she states, oh, and I forgot, Ruth, are we recording?
Yeah.
Okay. She comes up to the first person. Everybody roll a fate. Let's see who gets there first.
Okay.
Tyree gets a total of a 3.
My dice out.
Oh, I'm sorry,
And all
4.
of this is
Plus 1 fate bonus.
All this is D6, correct?
Yep, D6 unless you spend the destiny to roll a D10.
Okay. I roll a 2.
Okay.
Got those.
Two.
There we go.
2 for the prepper. I'm desperately trying not to call Bert Gummer.
Sorry, that's how I keep picturing him.
I know, right? I hope Michael Gross is pleased by that. And what did you get for your fate test there, Miss Jackson?
I rolled a 2.
Roll 5.
A 5. So actually, the first is there is Miss Jackson. So Miss Jackson, you walk in first, and the secretary comes out to meet you. She's wearing a crisp, pretty much. It sort of has like a little bit of a 1940s, 1950s retro look to it, and her hair is actually swept back like in a 1940s pin-up style. She comes up to you. She says, "Hello, thank you for attending Bryce and Bryce, attorneys at law. I'm the secretary for the Bryces. How can I be of assistance? And I need you to roll me an awareness upon this person."
Okie dokie.
This is an observation test, which falls under the awareness skill.
Alrighty.
Put my observation chart real quick.
Got another 5. You also can use a D10 occasionally, so I'm going to couple of those now. Alright. So I rolled another 5. What am I adding to it?
Okay, so the first roll was a 5.
Mm-hmm.
You only re-roll that die on a 6.
My first roll's a 5. So what am I adding
All right,
to
so
it?
on 5. So you're going to add your awareness bonus.
Okay, and my skill's a 0, so what am I?
So that keeps it steady, and your it's linked to your mental.
It's a +2.
So you have a total of 7. Okay, target number was 4. That means you're 3 over. Minor. Okay, on the observation test, you can tell what this person's been for the past 6 hours. She looks impeccably dressed. You can tell that she's the kind of person that definitely is a morning must have my coffee and run person. Her hair is pinned back, but it's pinned back in such a manner that you can tell it was a little rushed, like she was rushed to get to work. You can smell just the faintest hint of coffee breath on her. She's wearing a delightful perfume, and from the way she looked at you, you're not quite sure, but she seems to be admiring your beauty.
Crap, that means she's wrong for me.
People listening are going to get that. So Matthew's character has a cursed item that always attracts the wrong woman into his life. So the young secretary is looking you up and down. What do you say to her?
I'm here for the reading of the will of one Ulysses Dupree.
Oh, yes, Mr. Dupree, a client of ours for quite a while. I'm sorry for your loss. He was a good man.
Yeah.
And she seems sincere with that. She directs you over to a chair and says, we're still waiting on some other people to arrive. As soon as everyone is here, we will take you up to the offices and we'll have the reading of the will. All right, the next person then to arrive was actually a 6'3" man who looks like he could be both the center and the left tackle for a football team. Walks in to the lobby. He has dreads that go down to his neck. He's kind of got his face down, so you can't really see him very distinctly. He's wearing very large sunglasses. When he walks in, he takes off his hat. He's got his jacket. Roll another observation on everybody in the lobby, because you're not alone in this lobby. You got the secretary, you got a couple of people that are waiting.
Observation.
Okay.
Observation is a mental base.
Okay,
Right
does
now-
observation explode?
Yes, all skill rolls explode. Right now, the only character there is still Matthew.
Okay.
Next person to arrive is you, and then it goes to Ruth's character.
9.
Okay, and Matthew, what did you score?
So we got a 6 this time.
So that will then
Okay,
add an
roll 6,
exploding
roll
D3.
Okay.
What'd you get on your D3 add-on?
You got a 1 that time.
So that brings the base score to 7. Add your mental and your awareness bonus.
Awareness bonus is a 0, so it's nothing. So mental bonus is a +2, so that's a 9 total.
9 total. Okay, difficulty would have been 4, so that puts you 5 over. Okay, and here's what you get as the guy walks in. You can see past the hair. You see horrible, horrible scarring all over his throat and up the right side of his face. It's scarring that goes actually from just under his nose all the way across, and it looks just like something whipped him repeatedly. I mean, you can't think of what would have caused that wound. And it's a little disconcerting, but not so disconcerting that it requires a grip on reality check. He's big man. He also, when he comes in the room, he immediately, his eyes case the joint. You can tell he's looking at people and wondering who's armed, who's not armed, quickest exit. He feels like a criminal to you. And he also strangely looks vaguely familiar. You're not sure where you've seen him before, but you know you've seen this guy somewhere before. The secretary comes up and goes, hello, how can I help you? Are you sure you're in the right place? He just kind of grimaces when she says that, hands her the nose of the wheel,
Oh my eye.
and in a very deep baritone says, yeah, baby, I'm in the right place. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's just that I didn't know that Mr. Dupree had any... Please have a seat. He takes a seat, and he's not too far away from you. He looks at you quickly. You can tell he's doing the whole glance, one eye thing, try to judge you, size you up kind of thing. He apparently deems you harmless and then looks back at the rest of the room. A few minutes later, in walks Michael. Describe your character.
Hello.
Michael!
Hello.
Describe your character, please, as you walk in next.
Sorry, what?
Describe your character, please, as you walk into the lobby next.
Okay. Walking into the lobby, wearing an impeccable suit and tie, is a man who is 45 years old at the looks of him, though he is at that indistinct age where he could be as young as 36 and as old as 60.
A man of a certain age. Got it.
Yeah. The lines of worry and care are on his forehead. He stands straight, quite straight, but not as straight as you could imagine, and you can see the small amount of fat around his midsection that bespeaks a man who sits down more than he stands up for most of the day. He has one of the more recent inventions that has been created, known as a cell phone, but it is a mass-market Nokia in 1999, one of the first ones to be released back then for general consumption. He has a watch, which is about a mid-market Rolex. Everything about him screams person who works as a professional but has not quite made the proverbial hit.
He's still got that hungry look to him.
Yep. He sits down with his briefcase, reads a letter that he has with him. He looks slightly puzzled, but polite.
Okie dokie. This huge black guy looks you up and down, and he just kind of like sneers. Mutters something to himself in a language you probably don't speak. I don't think you speak Haitian Creole.
I do not think this man does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then walks Ruth, describe your character for us, please.
So my character is only running late because he circled the block a couple of times to ensure that there was nobody shady keeping an eye on the place, as well as kind of walked around the building looking for any strange signals or anything like that emitting from it.
Ruth, add a +1 destiny
He's
for role-playing your disadvantage of being paranoid.
And he's just an average looking guy. He's got just a flannel shirt and a t-shirt on and jeans and some boots. But he has very firmly on his head a hat. Inside the hat is a thing of tinfoil, but nobody can really see that part. But
Gotcha. I can't find where I downloaded it. I'll have to
Alright,
check
if
it.
I haven't described my character to anybody, I guess I ought to.
Give me 1 second, Matt. Okay. The big black guy looks you up and down and focuses on your left leg. Sorry, your right ankle. I'm sorry, Matt. I forgot to have you describe your Miss Jackson. Please do so now for us.
Alright. Jackson is sitting in the chair, pretty straight back, wearing Chicago Fire Department dress blues, but with an EMT patch rather than a firefighter's badge. Is blonde-haired, but with freckles and with brown eyes, rather than what you would expect to be green or blue eyes. Is rather attractive, but does have a scar on her lip and a scar on her eyebrow.
Oh, I forgot to mention something about the black guy.
You tell that she has a certain look about her eye that she has seen things. Not very pretty.
Okay. I forgot to
She is
mention...
very well aware that there's somebody else in the room that is not safe to be around. She's definitely keeping an eye on.
She's keeping an eye on the black guy. Gotcha. One of the things I forgot to mention was that Tyree has great eyes. Go ahead and do that again because there's some static. I didn't hear your thought. Please repeat that last part. There was static. I couldn't hear your thought.
She's keeping an eye on the prepper too because, well, he's obviously armed.
Gotcha.
But who's wearing an ankle holster walks with a certain limp.
Gotcha. There's one unusual feature about the black guy I forgot to mention is that his eyes actually are gray. Like steel gray. Which is not a normal coloration you normally see in someone of that ancestry.
Oh, it's not normal, but yeah, it's rare, but it happens.
Okay. So there you are sitting in this lobby. In a few moments, a 50-ish, right? A 50-ish, slightly portly male walks in. He speaks to the secretary. She ushers him over to, I imagine you guys are sitting like around a coffee table type thing. And he sits down with a bit of a mood. Everybody roll an awareness upon him. This is an observation test.
Look it up.
And Tyree got it with an exploding total of 13.
What happens when you roll 2 6s in a row?
Well, the first 6 is a 6. Then after that, you're rolling your bonus D3s. Yeah. On a 6 on that D3, it explodes. You roll it again and add it. But remember, that's a D3 at that moment, not a D6.
Okay, so it's basically a 6 and a 3.
So a 6, a 3, and then you get to roll another bonus D3.
Okay, thank you.
In the future, I would recommend you do what I do, where you actually have a D3, D6 you've made with a mark on the D6. You remember to roll it again.
Hey, thank you. That's actually not a bad idea. I'll do that.
I think I may have some I've already altered, too. I'll look.
So a 5 is a 3, right?
A 5 would be a 3, correct.
So that would be 12 altogether. Plus the mental is 2.
14.
It would be 14.
So you're 10 points above.
14. Let's roll so far.
Okay. What did everybody else get on this dude?
So my next roll's gonna suck.
2.
5.
So with
That's
your
pretty decent.
and the prepper got a 2 total, right? Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Okay, so Forbidden Lore has a slightly higher difficulty curve than the other Simple 6 games. Its average success number is 4 rather than 3. So the prepper fails. He's just like, oh, he looks like a, well-to-do man kind of thing. The
He
middle
looks
class
like
citizen,
a government plant. That's what he looks like.
Look at this narc. All right, gotcha. Michael, your character gets surface information. So you're looking at this guy, and the first thing you notice is the suit is an Armani suit. And from the accent, from when he was speaking to the secretary, he's probably French. The EMT, Miss Jackson, realizes from the way he's looking at the group, he doesn't think much of us because he's an elitist. He closes reacts to us because he perceives us to be more poor than he. He also really does not like Tyree. He's apparently also a racist. And she thinks she detects just the start when he goes to adjust his clothing. You think you detect just the start of maybe some kind of beginning stages of palsy or Parkinson's because his right hand shakes a little bit.
Interesting.
He sits there for a couple of moments, basically ignoring everybody. Does anyone try to talk with him or broach any subjects? Or take any other action while we're at it?
I am pulling out an EMF detector underneath my desk and looking around for weird energy signatures.
Oh my god! Okay, give me a mental test real quick with your EMF detector. Do you have the sciences skill?
No, why would I have that?
Of course, why would you have that? Okay, that helps me set the difficulty. Go ahead.
I rolled a 1.
You get a bunch of strange readings. Your first thing you think is the detector must be broken. Or maybe roll a mental. Difficulty 4.
Ooh. 11.
You have a passing thought maybe somebody used some kind of device on your EMF detector, but no, you've had it on you the entire time. There's no way. You're sure they didn't get to you yet. The Frenchman snorts. And then walks a older woman. She looks to be a little younger than he. She also is very clearly of African American descent. She's got her head back in a wrap up. She walks in to talk to the secretary, and the first thing out of her mouth is Haitian Creole. When that happens, the black dude perks his ears up immediately and looks at her. She starts trying to carry on the conversation again. The secretary's like, I'm so sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. He then gets up, gently walks over there. Maybe I can help, he says in that deep voice. And he translates for her what's going on. And he says, she says her name is...
We lost Matt.
Okay, I'll wait for him to log back in. Tyree says, she says her name is Janine de Rose. She is from Port-au-Prince. She says she received a letter that her relative, Mr. Dupree, had died. Oh, please tell her we're very sorry. She's welcome to wait. We'll be in a moment. When I saw the name De Rosa, I was expecting another snob. Yeah, I got it. Tyree says something to her in Creole, puts her down, and then they two, since they both speak the same language and they are very much feeling like the minorities, start talking to one another. And obviously,
they're obviously conspiring something.
Since nobody in the room speaks Haitian Creole, you obviously can't tell what they're saying. You do, however, everybody get an observation roll on the Frenchman again. And this one's easy to tell, so it's only a base 3. That's your awareness kicking in. Mental and awareness.
I got a 3.
You can tell what the emotion he's expressing is. Mr.
3.
Prepper?
2.
You miss it. You're like, eh. And is Matthew with us?
Nope. He's still not there.
I'm going to roll for her real quick. I'm going to say she passes. Both the EMT and our investor realize that the Frenchman is wincing because he's hating the way they're pronouncing what he considers to be his and his language alone. Finally, the last person to arrive is a very tall, elegant blonde woman. Also looks to be pushing about 50. She walks in and she says to the secretary, "Hello, my name is Ilyana Georgine Roskosif, and I am here because a Mr. Ulysses Dupree is dead, and I wish to see what I get out of the cut." You mean the inheritance? Sorry, English not first language. Yes, inheritance. Certainly,
She's a part of the mob.
have a seat. Thank you. She goes over, she sits down very primly and maturely. A few minutes later, another heavily muscled guy walks up right behind her, and she's like, "It is all right. I'm good, Sergey. Go, wait in limo." "Are you sure, ma'am?" "I am very sure. Go, wait in limo." "Yes, ma'am." And Sergey leaves. You all sit there around the coffee table, and silence descends. Except for the two Haitians that are talking in Creole. And don't pay any attention now to the rest of you. At the risk of sounding culturalist or racist, from the Haitian community we have here, that kind of speech, every culture has a different tone and a different way to relate. Haitians, once they feel like they're safe and they're with someone who they don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing with, they get very jovial. And so the two of them are pretty soon talking like they've known each other for years.
Sure.
And finally, the Frenchman's just had enough. He says, "Please, this is a somber occasion." When they don't respond to the English, he then says it again in French. They both stop, look at him, look at each other. The woman's smile cracks first, and the big guy's smile cracks second. They let a huge belly laugh. "Mr. Dupree is dead. How dare you laugh at his demise? Have you no shame?" The woman, Miss De Rosa, looks over and goes, "Oh, Henri, you forget. We met at the party almost, well, of course you forgot, almost 15 years ago, where you tried to put your hands up my skirts." "Yes, I know, I've put on some weight since then. But the point of the matter is, Henri, you were a dick then and you're a dick now. And I know that Ulysses hated you." Turns his head. De Rosa turns to the party and goes, "I don't recognize the rest of you, however. How are you doing? How did you know Ulysses?"
I didn't really know him that well personally. He was the investor in a firm that a friend of mine used to run. Very strange man. I took him out for drinks once when he was very, very sad, and he told me he was going to put me in his will, despite the fact that it was like the second time we ever met. Whole time I thought he was just being drunk and emotional, but I guess no.
He could be like that when he'd been drinking, yes. He never really did take Martha leaving him well. Oh, but Ulysses could tell the best stories. He has a curiosity at no bounds. He knew so much about history and philosophy and the arts. He would write me letters every week. I'm going to miss him greatly. She says a little sad. And when she does that, the big black guy kind of puts his arm a little bit protectively around her. And she lets him hug her. I got a text into Matt. I'm not sure what's going on. We're going to find out if everything's okay. We'll continue until he gets back to us.
Okay.
A few moments later, with the click of her heels and a high degree of nervousness, you can tell she's very nervous. She feels like she's bungled all the introductions. The secretary comes up and says, "The Bryces are ready to see you now. However, only be the elder Bryce brother. I'm terribly sorry, but the younger Bryce brother is busy with a different case. And as this is a civil matter, he can answer any of your questions. It shouldn't be too complicated. From what I understand, the will is very straightforward. Please, if you'll come to the elevators, we won't actually be able to fit everybody in one elevator, but we do have two. Everybody roll fate to see if you get into the elevator with the Frenchman."
4.
Okay.
5.
So, the prepper, the guy working. I really don't know what to call your character. Mike, I guess consultant would be the best word?
Yeah, you could say consultant for right now, or consultant at this point.
The consultant and the prepper and the Russian lady all get into a lift together along with Matthew's character. Matt has sent back that he's okay. I imagine there's something minor he's dealing with off camera. He'll be back soon. You're all in the elevator together riding up, and as you're riding up, the Rush woman turns and looks at you out of the corner of her eye. And you both get the sense that you're being sized up. And she turns back and says something in Russian to herself, which none of you speak Russian, so you don't understand. But you get the general gist that it was something derogatory. Not insulting, but just like almost pitying from the tone. The doors open. You enter a long hallway. The Frenchman is walking in front of the big black dude that was in his elevator with him, along with the Haitian woman, and he is having to walk along, holding himself up along the wall. He looks like something was said or something was promised that kind of intimidated him a little bit. You proceed down the hallway until you come to the office. Matt says his Kindle device is rebooting. Says he will be back soon. You proceed into the office, and the office is laid out like you would see most professional attorneys. You've got very comfortable chairs, good lighting, some tasteful art upon the walls. Several chairs are put in front of the attorney's desk. They're all these leather back, kind of sink into them. You don't think you're ever going to want to leave kind of chairs.
Uh-huh.
And everybody takes their seats. Except, of course, for the prepper, who I imagine is going to do something to check the chair out first.
Hold on a second. I gotta see what Ulysses getting into.
Okay.
Okay, we're all good. Can you backtrack a little bit because I was distracted by...
Certainly. So we're walking into the attorney's office, and everybody's sitting down in front of the attorney. I then jokingly said, except for the prepper, of course, who's going to do what to check out the chair?
Pretends to drop something on the floor so he can look underneath it, but pulls it back while giving it a little shake to be sure it's not hollow or anything with anything weird underneath it before, sitting down.
Everything appears to be set. The elder Bryce sits behind his desk. He shakes everybody's hand. He speaks fluent Russian to the Russian girl. He speaks fluent French to the Frenchman. He even speaks Creole.
All right, I'm back.
Thank you, Matt. He even speaks Creole to the Haitian lady and to the big the big black guy. And when he's talking to the black guy, he then says something, and he has to say it in English because there's no clear way to say it. He says something about, I bought the Three Flag album. Oh. Cool. Yeah, man, I love the Mamacita song. Oh, a lot of people do. Thank you. He then comes up and shakes Michael's character's hand. Your character's last name again is?
Barnes.
Mr. Barnes, thank you for coming, especially on short notice. Did you find traffic to be prohibitive, or is everything okay?
It was fine, you know. Bit of a delay on the L train, but it is what it is.
Excellent. He then goes to shake Matthew's character's hand. This is the main attorney who's going to read the will to us. Good to see you, Miss Jackson, right? Thank you for coming, Miss Jackson. And I understand that you're a worker with the local hospitals, paramedic. I wanted to say we appreciate what you do for the city. Then he gets to the prepper. He does not extend his hand. What was your character's last name again? It was odd and long, and I want to call it Sedgwick. What was it?
No, Swindlehurst.
Swindlehurst. Mr. Swindlehurst, it is good to see you again. I understand you may have been a bit surprised to get our letter, since we did have to represent against you in the matter of the property dispute, but I am pleased to see that there are no ill feelings. And now you remember these guys. These are the guys that tried to take the land your bunker sits on out from underneath you. They work for some soulless corporation that's just trying to keep the little man under his thumb. What do?
So now this is a whole conspiracy for you to just get to that piece of property, isn't it?
I assure you, nothing with the property in question from our former case is actually involved in this matter. This is just a simple will. Frankly, I was shocked that you were related to Mr. Dupree as much as you may be. I assumed you were hatched.
Well, maybe you soulless corporate people were. Kind of grumples.
No, we're cloned, he says. Mr. Bryce sits down. The reading of the will. I, Ulysses Dupree, being of sound mind and body, this 22nd of August, 1998. 98? Yes, 98. It was written last year. May I continue, please? This is my job. I do know how to do it, Mr. Lope. Sorry, Mr. Loop, which is Henri's last name. Henri de Loop. Henri de Loop, sorry. Yes, please continue. Thank you. Hereby give to Henri de Loop, reaches into a cupboard, pulls out an envelope, considerate aid such as he gave to me in a kindly manner when I and my wife were destitute and my children had perished. I return to him the same kind of help that he gave me. Henri at first is confused by this. He takes the envelope, he opens it, looks inside, and inside there is a single $5 bill. He looks back at the attorney. This is a jest. There's more, of course. I am sorry, Mr. DeLoop, there is not. Are you telling me I've been cut out of the business that I helped establish? I'm not sure what business you could mean, Mr. DeLoop, since Curiosities, Mr. Dupree's business, has been existing since 1885. He spins and he leaves the room in a huff. He, of course, gets to the end, does the typical French overdramatic thing of slamming the door, and walks out. Very well, let's continue. To Janine du Rosa, my friend of many years, I grant all the copies of our correspondence. He pages a little bit into a cupboard, comes out with the security deposit key, as well as the deed to... I'm sorry, my French is horrible. She turns around so she can see. Her eyes go wide. She goes, Mon Dieu. Yes, yes. Excellent. I don't know many people that are pleased about receiving such a piece of property, but I'm glad it meets your needs. You don't understand. It's a family thing. A long, long-running family thing. It's... Oh. She sits down very happy. Everybody roll awareness, see if you can see what was on that paper she was handed. That is a mental attribute test.
Six.
Yeah, you saw it.
Oh, sorry.
Not a problem.
5.
You saw it as well. And Matthew, did your character pass the test?
I realized I was taking it.
Yeah, everybody needs to roll.
I got a 7.
You all pass it. It is a deed to a piece of property down in Haiti, and although your all's French is a little rusty, you recognize the words for cemetery and mortuary. He bequeathed her a mortuary service and a cemetery, and she is over the moon about this. That's a little strange. He then goes through and says, okay, this person chose not to arrive, this person actually died, this person's not here. Here we are. Mrs. Roskosef. I have here something that says, oh, dear Ileana, I esteem you very highly and don't want you to think that our dalliance was without lasting effect. You have my friendship always, and I have kept all of your confidences. He has that underlined. I assume you know what confidence he's speaking of. Yes, I do. I have kept this safe for your father, and I ask that your family release mine from its burden. He takes out a small box and puts it on the table. It looks like it might be the dimensions to hold like maybe a ring. She takes the box up, looks inside it. Her eyes immediately go wide, then quickly she gets control of herself. Bashmoy, she curses. Puts it quickly in her purse. Says to him, I accept. Then she turns to all of you. And the very somewhat spooky Russian lady says, and in return for the additional favors past done by your Ulysses and his discretion, I will give each of you aid in the form of monetary compensation, transportation, or men for labor in return, but no more than 1 month's worth. She bows to you all, leaves a calling card, and she leaves. Everybody write on their character sheets, contact Ileana Georgine Roskosef. And I will put that in the general chat so you can see how it's spelled. The party gets a free contact. Bada-ding. It is in the general chat as we speak.
Okay.
All right. Now, Miss Jackson, Mr. I'm sorry, I forgot your character's name again at the end of the name. Mike.
Barnes.
Mr. Barnes, Mr. Swindlehurst, and Mr. I'm sorry, do you just go by Tyree? Yeah, it's fine. And Mr. Tyree. To use bequeath the shop Curiosity, all of its inventory, and all the funds that it has generated or has saved. However, there are conditions upon this. First, you must maintain the shop for at least a year, and you must live on the property. This is to assure that in that year, if you're looking for someone to replace you in your duties, you have sufficient time to vet them and make sure they will do our family justice. Second, upon taking ownership of the shop, you will be required to speak a promise upon a statue that sits in the middle of the shop. The Vulcan of Diogenes. This should take place later today, and I have instructions that if you accept, you will go from here immediately to the shop and swear the oath. And there's more, but before I can read any more, you must touch the statue and say the oath, says the attorney. He's very, very adamant about it. Now, that strikes everyone as being a little weird, I would imagine. And I would put this into the unsettling unsettling branch of Grip on Reality. So everybody rolled me a mental test. I wouldn't say it's very difficult. I would say this is a 3. And not even a 3, a 2. So you just need to roll a 2 or higher on your mental. Tyree makes it.
Roll a 1.
Yeah, I make it.
Oh! Oh! The prepper.
6.
You rolled a 1,
6.
dearest?
Yep.
Roll the die again.
4.
So it'd be a -2, so you actually have a 0. So you are not quite where it'd be a whole D3 loss of grip. Okay, so you lose a point of Grip on Reality for the session. Something about the idea of swearing an oath on a what paganess is this, right? It really bothers your character.
Everything bothers my character. How is that unusual?
But the attorney seems insistent that he won't read any more of the will or how much you've inherited unless you do this.
I wasn't mentioned, so I don't have to do shit.
Actually, yes, I did. Your last name is Jackson, isn't it? Do I have that correct? Okay, so yeah, all the player characters are mentioned.
Okay. Everybody else's full name, but I didn't hear mine.
Sorry about that. Could have been a lost connection, but yes,
Yeah.
all of us are mentioned. So we are all in the will. This is all what our dead ancestor wants. We have to now go to his shop and swear an oath.
Rolled anyway, and I rolled like a 13, so I'm good.
Okay.
Even though the number is not particularly lucky.
Tree's like, yeah, man, sure, whatever. Just let me get what I get. I just need my cut, you know.
But you are full of joy and happiness, aren't we?
He just kind of smiles at you. Not particularly warm, but not threatening either. So, is everybody go?
Yep.
You're herded
Yeah,
down.
why not?
You're herded down to the limo, which means going back down with the elevators.
My character is asking a lot of questions.
Okay, I'm going to speed that up. Let's go with the conversation test. Page back up to conversation real quick on my chart. This is a social test. Nope, not emotional states. Conversation. There we go. Do you have any speech skill?
Nope.
Okay. That actually is pretty apropos considering you're a survivalist prepper conspiracy theorist. So normally it would be a target number of his attribute, which is +0 to the standard T and a 4. You have no speech skills, so you're having to roll a 7. Roll me 1 die. Would you like to spend any destiny to modify this?
Considering I rolled a 6 and then a 4, I don't think I do.
No, you passed. You get an 8. Holy cow. All right. That counts as 1 success. You learn 1 tidbit of information. So you hit the guy with several questions. And for those who don't know, normally I have several systems in the game so that we can quickly accelerate time, but you still get stuff out of it, kind of like downtime. And conversation is one of those systems. So as you're battering with all these different questions, you get a tidbit of he's been Ulysses' attorney for almost 50 years. He's getting close to like 75, 76. He's about to retire. Ulysses has been a client of his ever since he first started. Which means he's known Ulysses since he was a teenager. And you can see there's a lot of respect for the man. And you're catching a little bit of this strange arrangement with the will is nothing new for this Ulysses person. The senior Bryce has had to deal with these kind of strange demands all the time. So you come down out of the elevator. You get down to the bottom floor, you open it up, and Henri is there berating the secretary. He's mixing his berating between English and French, so it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what he's upset about, other than he's just upset. But you catch the threat of lawsuits, other lawyers. What does anybody wish to do?
For the asshole.
What was that about the asshole, Matthew?
Ignore the asshole.
Ignore him, okay?
Not my problem.
Anybody else doing anything?
Hey, whatever money comes from this is going to help pay off some of the credit card bills. Paul is going to remain reasonably silent.
Gotcha.
Kind of regretting the fact that he didn't create a custom-made business card. I mean, he has his old ones from the previous firm, but not very useful right now.
As you pass
My
by...
character is speculating how much of this is a front or some kind of conspiracy.
So she looks preoccupied. He looks preoccupied. Got it. As you pass by, Tyree accidentally, boom, bumps the guy. The guy hits the counter hard, lets out a breath. Tyree pulls it back. Oh, man, sorry. My bad. I didn't see you there, brah. Walks out smiling after he winks at the secretary. Was that really necessary? Says Mr. Bryce. Nah, man. It's fun, though. The look on his face was pretty priceless. You all get into a limousine. You've got about 20 to 30 minutes in the limo before you reach the destination because of traffic. What do you all want to do?
This is the year 2000, right?
1999.
299. Holy shit, I just realized something. I light up a cigarette.
You take out your cigarette. You light it. Tyree looks at it and goes, those are bad for you, you know.
Or a lot of things I do.
That was a good answer. He seems impressed. Anybody else do anything for the car ride?
I'm sure there's some kind of conspiracy involving cigarettes, and I'm just trying to look, see if there is anything real quick.
So which person is in the car with us again? It's not the
senior Bryce and his
lady.
driver.
Mr. Bryce.
Yes.
So, Mr. Bryce, how long did you work with the departed?
Oh, almost 5 decades.
5 decades?
Yes. He was one of my very first clients. You'd be surprised how often an antiquities business, especially when it does international import-export, needs an attorney to wade through international law, trade laws, customs. God, customs.
I'm sorry about you.
Any particular type of antiquities that you specialize in?
Ulysses was more of a generalist, although he did have a penchant for the 18th and 19th centuries. His staff was much more equipped than he to fill in those gaps in what he didn't know. He had one lady, what was her name? He takes a moment to think about it. Miss Monroe, Gillian Monroe, I believe. Scottish lady, who was his antiquities on books expert. And a Mr. Dean, who was more familiar with the centuries just before the ones that interested Ulysses. Ulysses was mainly interested in the 18th and 19th centuries, and Jasper Dean was actually interested in the 17th century primarily and had some accreditation for 16th century artifacts as well. In fact, if I remember correctly, Dean used to work at a museum, but, the rumor was, if I remember correctly, he was dismissed. Okay. The 30 minutes of the car go by. You arrive at an area of downtown Chicago where the high rises, they aren't, I don't say they're not quite as tall, because it is in downtown Chicago, but it's in the outskirts of downtown Chicago towards where traffic would come in and out. All right. Since you're dealing with Antiquities, he wants to be somewhat closer to warehouses. So you're also not that far from a district where there's some warehouses. Light warehouse, not like heavy industrial, but light warehouses. So the building is actually like a 5 or 6 story building. It's got 2 levels of storage on the building itself, including a basement. You got the bottom level, which is the massive shop. The second level above it, which is restoration. And the level above that, the third level, is where the living quarters normally are. And he's never actually been up to the very top level, right below the roof. So he's not sure what's there. But Mr. Bryce walks in and goes, "This is the shop." You walk in, the door's got the shingle on it. The door is actually, because the shop is, this isn't the original location for it, but since it's got all this history to it, the door is actually this really fine, ornate oak door with like these intricate carvings along the sides. He opens the door with a both a mechanical key and a keypad, and then he lets you all inside. And the first thing you notice when you walk inside is that the entire first floor shop right now has got drapes over everything, cardboard boxes everywhere. But everybody roll me an awareness real quick. And then Michael's character, after the awareness test, you're going to do a business test real quick.
Okay. Is awareness general mental, or is it an actual
awareness?
skill?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm in a bad habit of doing that. Awareness is a mental buff. I need to state the attribute first, and then the skill later.
Straightforward
It is a mental attribute. Awareness is under the mental attribute. Awareness is a kind of test. There is also a skill.
Okay, so does if you don't have points in aware? Genuine question regarding skills like the awareness. Does it mean that I have to apply the -3 if I don't have ranks in it?
If I call for a specific test that the skill has the same title of, yes.
Okay, so minus.
So for awareness, yes, that would be a thing. You're not as aware of the environment as other people.
Okay, so in that case, I just get a 2.
Okay, so you don't notice anything amiss yet.
Huh.
Looks like a dark, musty place. Looks like they've had it shut up for at least a week. Did anybody else pass it?
Got a 6.
So she passes it, and what did the
3.
prepper get? 3, so prepper doesn't pass it.
3.
So, Matt, you walk in, the first thing that happens is you get this knee-jerk reaction of, you've just walked into a crime scene. You can tell by the way things are arranged, there's some remnants, how the cops would process things. Somebody died here. You're not sure exactly where it happened in the room, but the whole room screams crime scene to you.
Excuse me.
Yes, says Mr. Bryce.
Mr. Dupree down?
I assumed you all knew.
I don't know Ulysses Dupree from Adam.
Oh.
Right? I got a close relationship with the Pope.
Well, it was in the papers, and this was right at the time period where people were starting to not read the papers.
You'll have to excuse me. I'm an EMT. I work a 12-hour shift, 4 days in a row.
Huh.
So when I'm not working, I'm sleeping.
He points over to the front desk where sales would have happened. He goes, Mr. Dupree was found there at his desk, slumped over. He apparently had a heart attack and died.
Okay. And that's the story and the whole story, nothing but the story?
Yes. Now, we'll need to proceed before I can read any more of the will. He walks up to the center of the room. In the center of the room, there's clearly a statue underneath a tarp. He quickly takes the tarp off, and he's having some problems. He then looks at the big block and goes, "Would you mind?" "Sure." He yanks the tarp off, and you are met with a vision of a beautiful bronze statue. The statue is beautifully muscled. It has that classic Greek symmetry to it. Picture, if you will, a heavily bearded man looking out into the distance, his left arm extended holding a lantern. In his right hand, he holds Hermes Caedicus. On his belt, you can see a blacksmith smock and a belt with blacksmith tools on it, a hammer, tongs, things like that. But also, and somewhat disturbingly, a series of chains that go down from his belt onto figures that make up the pedestal which he is standing on. And the figures are all like laying on their sides. Some are like plaintively reaching up to him for mercy. A group of men and women that all these chains go to their necks where they are wearing collars. The statue is very unsettling. Everybody roll me a grip on reality. That's a mental test. Target number 4. If you have the meditation skill, you may use that bonus. Tyree makes it.
Straight I am.
Is it just a general mental test?
Yes, but if you have the meditation skill, you can add that as well.
Okay.
3.
4.
4. Okay. So, what you've got... I'm sorry, everybody passed. Everybody got a 4 or better?
I got a 3.
Oh, poor prepper. You lose another point of grip. You're just not having a great day. You're a little shaky now. It's like, oh my god, look at that thing. The strangeness of the statue is intensified by the fact that it has this air of almost sensuality as well as a promise of power to it. And Bryce says, according to the will, you must each place your hands upon the statue and swear the following in Latin. Oligoenum accipio faciem voluntatem tuam. And we have 2 people here that possibly might speak enough Latin to get that. Mr. Business Guy and Miss Paramedic, both of you roll your mental at a -3. So the target number would make a total of 7 to see if you understand what that Latin means.
Oh. I got.
Yeah.
Nice. My die exploded. I actually got a 4.
You got it. Okay.
Yeah, I did not. Just short of it.
Michael, I'm about to send you what that means in Latin. Look for it in the general text. Because your character may or may not want to share that.
Well, in that case, you should send it in our one-on-one text then.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Let me go back real quick. No. There we are, Clouded Mirror. And my computer is stalling on me for some reason. Okay, should be showing up in your feed now.
Okay.
Oh, actually, it's a little wrong. Hold on, let me do that again. There we go. That's the better translation. Sorry about that.
Okay.
All right. Let's get this done so that we can put poor Ulysses' spirit to rest. And when Bryce says that, he means it a little jokingly, but the strangeness of the request, the unsettling sight, little Oogie. Does everybody do it?
I don't know what the hell the word
Strange
means
signals
first.
for.
Since you both spoke at the same
Right,
time,
okay.
let's start with Ruth. Ruth, what did you say?
I'm looking around for strange signals first.
Your EMF detector detects no strange signals.
curious as to what the frickin' words mean, but what the hell? How dangerous can it be? It's frickin' words.
Tyree goes, I want to get paid. Puts his hand on the statue.
I'll do it. I put my hand on the statue.
You all have to repeat the oath. You have to do it a couple of times to make sure you got it correct, because hardly any of you speak Latin. But once it's done, something strange happens. Everybody roll a weirdness test. Target number is 4. Tyree does not pass it.
Okay. The fuck is the weirdness?
-1.
You definitely don't pass it.
The fuck is the weirdness?
So, James, can you tell me how negatives works again? The second roll determines
Not a problem.
how
So
bad.
if you end up rolling a 1 on your initial die roll, you must then roll another d3 as a negative number. And that subtracts from 1, because 1 was actually on the die roll to start with. So if you end up rolling a -1 on your second die, you have a 0.
Okay. Now, I have a question. If you roll a 1 and then you roll a 6...
That would be
that
-2,
one...
and the die would explode, and you roll another d3.
Okay. -3.
Ho, 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 ho!
I have exactly a 4.
You have exactly a 4? All right. So, Ruth's character and Tyree both feel this strange sense of submission to the statue. And by that submission, I mean that for a moment, you're just marveling at how it feels underneath your hand. If this were a real person, you would be very prone to listen to their advice, kind of thing. And then the sensation fades. Unfortunately for Michael's character, Michael, you gain a -1 disadvantage. Bound to the statue of the Vulcan Diogenes.
Oh, no.
You're not sure what that does yet. The lawyer goes, excellent. He then puts the things aside. He pulls out a book.
How much does this statue cost?
You're guessing from the artwork of the statue, the bronze...
No, I'm directly asking the lawyer
asking
guy.
Bryce? Bryce goes, I'm not an antiquarian. I don't know. I'd have to check the ledger for what he estimates at, but I know that maybe his antiquities, particularly something like this, date back into almost like what a museum would pay for it. In fact, I'm surprised this piece isn't in a museum.
Okay. Well, once all of this is done, if it's possible, I'll have my people contact your people. This will look absolutely perfect in my living room.
Well, he looks at the books. Here are the rest of the conditions. You are now all equal partners in the family business of curiosities, antiquities, and import-exports. All the inventory and all of its funds, at the time of this writing, summing a total of almost $2.5 million, are now at your disposal. Again, you are required to live in the apartments above the shop for a period of 1 year, so that the shop is well cared for and you can monitor the staff, ensuring our same high-quality services and discretion. You are obligated to obey by all the procedures in the shopkeeper's manual written by your ancestor, Ulysses. He pulls out a second book. Failing to perform any of these duties throughout the year will result in your forfeiting your inheritance and it being transferred to the next relative of the closest blood tie. Failing to keep any one of the rules in the shopkeeper's manual will result in other dire legal consequences. Once your initial year of ownership is complete, the store is available for sale so long as it is sold to someone else that is willing to take up your obligation and they are blood related to you. He hands you the book and goes, I imagine the records of the other things and what the shop owns are all in this area. I'm sorry for your loss. Good luck. And he takes off in the limo.
Why do I feel like I just been taken for a ride?
Okay, show me those books, because I need to see what kind of front this shop is for.
The only book you have right now is the shopkeeper's manual that you were handed. As far as the books for the business, they're probably behind the front counter.
Well, I dig those up and start looking through them.
Okay, he goes on a search test. He takes off behind the front counter. Give me a mental test if you happen to have the... should be research, right? Double check it. Yeah, if you have the research skill, you can use that bonus instead. If you don't have research, then it makes the target number higher.
Yeah, I don't have research.
Okay. It's pretty well laid out, so it's pretty low to begin with. You're just going to need a 5 or better. And it's not like anything's supposedly being hidden. Okay. So you're paging through the desk, and I'll get to what you find in just a moment. What's everybody else doing while she's looking through the desk?
I'm just kind of like, I guess I'm going to start reading this manual because I want to find out what the hell I've gotten myself into.
So you're actually reading the book, okay? I will get to that in a moment. That will also be a research. That will also be a research test. While you're doing that, Tyree's taking off tarps and looking in boxes. What are you doing, Michael?
Well, phones of this time did not have a picture function. What I would actually be doing, though, is that I would be calling Carol to let her know the contents of the will. Or at least what I've been told so far.
Excellent. And I was actually minorly wrong. It isn't research for this, per se, for what Matt... Well, actually, no, it is for Matt and them, because they're actually looking for literary sources. Checking out the room is actually falls under awareness. My mistake. Okay. So let's start with Ruth's character. So Ruth, you get behind the counter, you open up the books, they're all pretty perfectly laid out. The first thing you notice is that 2 of the books are missing. The first book that's missing has got a shelf space behind it. The shelf space is written in pink, warehouse inventory. And the next book that's missing next to that, written in ink on the place of the shelf where it would be, is listed as incoming exports. Sorry, incoming imports.
Clearly they were trying to hide something.
Maybe. What specifically in the books are you looking for?
Any evidence of them being a front or funneling anything to any government or secret agencies, like the Illuminati or those gosh darned...
Certainly. So you have the books in front of you, and they're the books that are directly related to the topics. That'd be +2. You said you had the research skill, or you did not?
No.
So that'd be a -3. So it puts you at a -1 mental to look through these books and try to decipher what it is you're looking for. So you need to roll 5 or better.
I find it rather funny that Ruth is a conspiracy theorist who doesn't research.
I find that very appropriate myself.
They believe everything the internet tells them.
Part of the inspiration for this campaign was I just finished reading a book called Pale Horse Rider, The Life of William Cooper, who we can basically blame for all of modern conspiracy theory.
I got a 9.
Got a 9? Good grief,
Yep.
you're DOS over the target. Okay. You
Oh, wait,
find...
no, 8 with that -1.
That's still a DOS over the target. The target was 5. The DOSs here are 3 points, not 4 like Savage Worlds. So you find not only that there are some very spurious fiscal shenanigans going on, but that Ulysses was probably blind to it. One of his staff members looks like they were jiggling the books and robbing him blind. You don't think that $2.5 million we're supposed to have, we actually have. Your quick count says that we might have a few $100,000 of it, just enough to float the account.
Ooh, this ain't good.
And where it was going was apparently a lot of the money was being shifted off to, it's listed in the books as like transportation charges, warehouse holding fees, customs costs, right? But they don't add up because they're not showing up on anything before a certain date, like roughly a year or 4 before.
Okay.
But you don't find any evidence of it being a government front. It looks like this was an honest business, just he's got a bad employee.
Huh. But the bad employee could be the government plan.
Yep, could be. That's always how that works. All right, okay. Matthew, you look at the book. You have the book in front of you that adds +2. You have a research skill, if I remember correctly?
No, I do not.
Okay, so that's -3. Roll again, -1. The first thing you saw in the book is that it is handwritten. And the paper is weird. Roll a mental of target 6.
All right. Okay. Two. So +2. Okay, 1. So mental +2. So it's 8 total.
So you get the gist that this is some kind of like book of axioms and proverbs and various things he wants the business to be run as. You can tell it was written by Ulysses, but the way it's written is strange. It's like you've got what should be an English sentence, but then the grammar is French with English words instead of French words. And then at some point in the sentence, he switches to Spanish, and at that point he switches to Russian. All in like the same passage. He is clearly a polyglot, and to him this made perfect sense. But us having to read this to discern what we're going to be able to do and what we're actually accountable for is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
You can't shake the feeling, though, because the way it's handwritten and the weirdness of the paper in the book, that you're holding something that in and of itself is an antique. This book is at least over 100 years old. And yet, he wrote in it by hand. It's almost like he defaced something he would normally sell. And then finally we get to the phone call.
Unless he was over 100 years old.
Oh, surely that would be impossible.
Now, that's my line as a conspiracy theorist, because obviously he somehow found the Fountain of Youth somewhere, the government's hiding it or something, and he somehow got his hands on it.
Matthew, Michael, your call. You were calling your wife, is that correct?
Yep. I am calling Carol. She should be back from work by now.
Ring, ring. Hello?
Hello, Carol. So, do you remember that incident that I told you regarding the gentleman who basically cried into my shoulder that one night at Duval's?
Yeah, I seem to remember this. I seem to also remember telling me that there were a bunch of pretty blondes flirting with you, which I wasn't happy about.
I don't remember telling you that.
So you admit that it happened,
but...
she says as a joke.
Right. So anyway, I don't know how to say this. I don't know how to say this, but we appear to have inherited an 18th century antique shop.
Really?
I have not been drinking.
Well, that could actually be really good. I could use that in my realty. Maybe like I could get an interior decorator, coordinate houses, raise the asking price for them.
Well, I suppose it's an excellent place to host mixers. There's a lot of responsibilities that come along with it, but the business is supposed to be liquidated in a year. I guess Mr. Vaught's breakdown, came at a serendipitous time. But I haven't had the chance to look over the books of this business. For all I know, they could be absolutely absurd.
Well, I'm sure you can figure it out, and we can make the best of it, and maybe this is exactly what we need at the time. I mean, we are out in the world, living our best selves, manifesting our will. Only good things come to us. We can speak our affirmations into the mirror, and we're going to get through this, honey.
Honey, I love you, but, The Secret, it really is just a book. You know that, right?
Nonsense, dear. You're just saying that because you're right now trapped in a little bit of negativity.
I guess.
We really should go get your aura adjusted.
I love you, too.
I know this yogi should give you a good chakra cleansing.
These two are made for each
Roll a
other.
mental.
During the disaster.
I roll a 4, so I managed to avoid going insane.
I was going to have you say something snappish back, but okay. So you have a nice little pleasant conversation with your wifey. Tyree says to the party, this is the 20th box I've overturned and there's nothing in them. Takes a tarp off a counter. The counter clears like a glass display case. Nothing in it.
Oh, that is a bit odd, but I mean, they could have just shipped a whole bunch of items out, and these are just the leftover boxes. I'm not going to pretend I know anything about this business, though.
Bro, it's the whole store. It's got to be. He's going through more boxes. He's not finding there's actually anything here. Everybody roll their mental to recollect something. Difficulty 2.
7.
Okay. Rolling for Ruth. She's taking care of the kiddo. Her prepper does not remember it. Tyree might remember it if nobody else does. Mental 2 or better.
He ate something and acted. Cleaning it up. Decided to get myself a cup of coffee while I was up.
Not a problem.
Here, hold on.
So anybody make that mental roll?
Mental roll is a 6 altogether.
You remember that the very nice attorney said that the level above us was restoration. The level above that was living quarters. 2 levels above that were storage here on property. He's never been to the 6th floor.
Yeah.
So if there's stuff here, it might be in those other levels above us. Plus, there's also a basement.
That's a good point. So, let's go explore the creepy basement and the creepy attic and the creepy antique store.
I like you, miss. What is your name? I'm sorry.
Miss Jackson.
Ah, Miss Jackson. Sure. Do you think possibly up here we'll find the masked man who's attempting to hide the buried treasure?
Tyree looks at you like you've gone insane. So which are we going, up or down?
David's ready to go up.
Well, let's do something very, very smart and don't do what they do in slasher flicks and split up.
Okay.
Let's remember the rules of all horror movies. Okay? Do not split up. Always go armed. Always watch your six. Always make sure the doors are open behind you. And the black guy always dies first. And I deliberately look at the big guy.
Well, that's just racist. He says without missing a beat.
That's,
So the house doesn't have an interior. Sorry, the building doesn't have an interior elevator. Everything's by stairs.
So, you want to go first? Look at the big guy again.
Sure. He steps out in front. He turns and goes, since you mentioned armaments, does anybody have one?
What about the extended baton? Stick.
nope, I don't.
I'm going to say that Ruth's
don't
prepper does not reveal that she is armed.
Look at the prepper. Just kind of like cock my head and raise my eyebrow.
Right. He turns around. You hear click as some firearm he had hidden on him comes out.
And
Starts going up the stairs. On the level above you, you do see a series of rooms, all connected by an interior hallway, that are meant for restoration. You see stages for restoration of books, some for parchments, some for paintings, some for statuary, all that kind of stuff, as well as a small machine style off in one corner, which probably is used for like machining small parts you might need that have like worn out. Everybody give me a mental plus awareness while you're up here. It is dark. Base difficulty because of the darkness is going to be a 6.
oh yeah, and the other thing from horror movies: turn on the fucking lights. So I proceed to start doing that.
Every time you go to a light switch, it doesn't come on.
Oh, fuck off! See that cell phone of yours, Bob?
My prepper clearly has a flashlight or something on him, though, just saying.
Light is being shed as Ruth says that she's going back taking care of the kid. You see what we're being illuminated with is a flashlight the prepper had with him, because clearly he'd never go anywhere without a light source.
Shit. Alright, so I got a 7 and a what are we rolling?
It's a mental-based skill. So I should say a mental-based test, and awareness is the skill that's used to modify it.
Okay. So awareness, mental. So the 7 goes to 9.
After modifiers and negatives, I rolled a 1.
I got a 9.
Sorry, I got hungry again. I'm going to try to cut this out here in a second. So Michael's character sees nothing that alerts him or makes him feel scared or makes him feel that must be something interesting. Matthew rolled a 7 total.
9.
9 total. Okay.
Total 7 and plus 2 mental.
You notice that none of these stations have been used in some time. Not a lot of time, because there's like no dust or anything. But clearly they've all been idle for at least a week, maybe more.
Mm-hmm.
So no one's basically been showing up to work here. That's what I'm trying to communicate. You walk down the end of the hallway, the next stairwell goes up to the next level.
That's still not enough time for the lights to have been turned off, though.
Unless they were already arrears. So you get to the next stairwell.
At least
It goes up to the living quarters on the 3rd floor. There are only 4 rooms on this 3rd floor, and there are 4 rooms on the 4th floor. Each one set up to be like a live-in, fairly spacious apartment. Ulysses' apartment is actually here. Well, Do we check his place? See what he's got in his crib? Or do we keep going?
If he's arrears on his power bill, check his phone. Does his phone still got a ringtone?
He actually didn't have a cell phone. Oh, his phone? His phone does not have a ringtone. The hard line does not ring.
His phone's dead.
Yep.
Landline is dead. Right. It's weird. It's only been a week since his death, and
Okay. So are we checking his actual individual room? Are we checking other rooms? Are we going up to the next level? What are we doing?
I think it's about time to check the basement. There's nothing here.
oh, there's still one more floor up here, man. Mysterious 6th floor.
Yeah, they never went up. They never went through. Okay, well, I'm going to say basically,
Okay.
since I'm not hearing like a detailed search, you do a casual search of these rooms. Everybody roll me
yeah, of
a
course.
mental/awareness. Since we're doing a casual
no
quick
reason.
search, base difficulty will be 5. The darkness adds another point, since we actually do have some illumination. So the base target number is 6. And Tyree will actually... I think I succeeded.
I roll a 4. I do not see it.
I actually
Tyree
succeeded
just
as well
barely
with a
failed.
7. I just barely made it with
Got
a
a
7.
7? Okay. And the room that is his, the first thing you notice is the room has been overturned. Someone's ransacked it. And several of his personal effects are gone. The drawers of the room are all open. It looks like whatever he had here for personal diaries, personal effects are all gone. The only thing they left him were his suits.
So are we sure this is a heart attack or what?
It's starting not to look like it. I wonder why the cops didn't check. I mean, it's not like he was black.
Make some calls.
All right.
I can make
So
some calls.
I heard you say you're going to make some calls. Are we stopping progressing through the building? Are we doing those calls now? Or are we doing it
Oh,
after?
no, not now. Not now. I'm just
Okay.
saying I can make some calls.
Understood. So we got the 6th floor.
Yeah.
Upon
We
the
can always
6th floor,
call.
you step up, and at the top of the stairwell, there is a small, clearly, quickly built foyer that's just big enough for one person to walk into. When you open the door to the foyer on the other side, you have another door in this short, like 10 by 10 space. And as you open the front to this foyer, you hear that other door automatically close. Click. Tyree says, yeah, that ain't no spooky horror movie bullshit.
Don't worry. If you don't invite them in, the vampires can't get you.
Is there somebody here? He shouts out. There's no answer.
So, you just had to bring up a vampire movie in this situation, didn't you?
Jackass, I got my 9. Don't you make me come after you. No answer.
Look, it's probably a rat or something, or just the wind. Come on.
Tyree
Yeah,
sits
an
there
idea.
for a second.
Let's make the prepper go first.
It's an old building. It makes noises. Seriously.
Wind. Maybe. He walks up to the door. He goes, "Ch-ch-ch-ch-ch." It's locked.
I'll tell you what. When we meet the lawyer's people in the following morning, they'll probably give us the keys and everything. And they'll probably also tell us where all the items were moved to. I mean, it makes sense that they wouldn't be in the building
Yeah, but
when there's no...
I have impulse control issues, Tyree says. He sits down, pulls out a pair of lockpicks. No judging. Click. Opens the mechanical lock. It's an old-style mechanical lock. Opens the door. Inside, everybody roll a mental. This one's a little bit higher because the mood is spooky. It's a total of 6 because between the darkness and the weird things you're about to see, you might lose a grip. Tyree
10.
passes.
10.
You pass. Wait for Matt's roll. You got a what?
11.
You just pass, and the prepper passes. The room is dark, like there's no electricity up here. All around, a central thing covered in a tarp that's about human size. There are candles that have not been lit, but were lit at some point in the past, sitting around this thing in a circle. A strange pattern has been engraved onto the ground that this object sits inside. The pattern looks like a triangle, and around the triangle inside this circle, there are various other, for what can be described, lack of a better word, squiggles. Tyree takes one look at it and goes, "Holy crap, conjuring room."
Okay, I admit we should have gone to the basement.
Give yourself a destiny. That was a good joke. He quickly looks around the house and goes, "But I don't see no Grigris or no Veves, so I don't know what kind of conjuring this is." And he actually has an occult skill. He looks at the circle real quick and goes, "Some kind of calling or summoning."
What was that Scott Bakula movie I watched a couple of years back?
There better not be no crazy cultists up here. I'll plug you.
Oh yeah, Lord of Illusions.
I don't care what Loa you're
I
with.
don't know if anything like that either. So, yeah, it's kind of beyond me too. Okay, so apparently Uncle Ulysses, or whatever his fucking relation to me was into some weird, twisted shit. Or maybe one of his employees was. Who the fuck knows?
What exactly did you say was in the center of the room, James?
We don't know. It's something man-sized and covered by a tarp.
And I am not crossing that room in that circle or touching that thing, uncover it. One, because that's illegal. This is a possible crime scene. Two, be a shit. I am not crossing that room to touch it.
There's no blood on the floor or anything.
It's still creepy as shit.
In fact, the floor has been cleaned.
I am fully expecting it to go fucking John Malkovich, Scott Bakula, crazy fucking Lord of Illusion shit, and rise up and go Clive Barker on us, alright? If it suddenly pops up and has pins in its head and goes, "I have things to show you, I am leaving."
Okay. David walks forward, and as he walks forward, he says, but you forget. We didn't open a puzzle box. And then he takes the tarp off.
Face palm.
I give you a destiny point because that was actually a good joke.
Face palm.
Underneath the tarp, there is an antique mirror. The looking glass is very narrow. It's only about 4 feet wide, but it's very tall. It's almost 7 feet tall. It also has a strange dark coloration to it, but that could just be the lack of light in the room. The outside of the rim of the looking glass is this very ornate Gothic metal. And it's got all this kind of twisted wirework on it. It's very beautiful to look at. And
oh, good. Now you've uncovered the puzzle box.
Everybody in the room needs to roll me a mental TN6. If you have resolve, if you have meditation, you may also use your meditation bonus.
Okay, thank you.
I'm back, so.
Okay. So we're up on the top floor of the building, and Michael's character just unveiled this mirror sitting in the middle of like a ritual circle.
Bluetooth. I got Bluetooth headphones.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
The whole time.
Cool bean. So you heard what we're doing.
Okay, so what type of test is this?
Mental, TN6. If you have meditation, you may add that.
Okay. So, if it explodes, the second die is D3, right?
Correct.
Okay. The D3 explodes. 13.
Okay.
That's a
Yeah, exploded twice.
six, 3, 9, 10, 11, and 13. Yep, 13 as well. Bad
Okay.
meditation, so I have a +1 meditation.
What the prepper
Looking
get?
at this thing actually causes David to feel a little wistful. One of the few good shared memories he had with his daughter was when she was in middle school, and she read this new book that came out in 1997 called Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. This reminds him kind of that mirror in the book. He liked reading
In my case, my love of horror movies and Clive Barker is actually keeping my humor up on this one. And I'm basically just going, oh, fuck, man, just cover up the fucking mirror before Pinhead comes out.
Ruthie, what did you get?
Cover it.
4.
Okay.
Fuck, you're just not having a good day.
She's not.
He is not. This poor prepper is just fucked. Oh, man, I feel bad for him.
Okay. So
I think he would be the best prepared for this shit.
I'm going to send Ruth a private message real quick. Give me a moment while I type that out.
Is it possible
He's having a bad
to
day.
completely lose her sanity simply by walking through this building?
Possibly. It's a kind of game based on Call of Cthulhu, so yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was denied vital need to know information. Oh, Bert. I actually hope we don't lose this character because I actually would like to have this kind of character around because we kind of need a conspiracy nut because that kind of character generally sees things that other characters won't. You know what I'm saying? You kind of need the paranoid nutcase in this kind of situation.
All right, so I'm sending Ruth a private message. And Ruth, your character is basically stuck for a moment just looking at the mirror. And you're not going to be able to actually say or do anything until I release your character from this revelatory vision you're having. Now, the guys of the 13s. Mr. Michael, what would you say your character would want to see the most? What would he want to know the most? At this moment.
What would he? What line of work he should next go into?
Well, he really is career oriented.
You look at your reflection in the mirror for a moment. For a moment, you're wearing a long trench coat. Your tie is kind of sideways, like you don't really give a shit anymore. You've got a vest on, like an old 1930s vest. Your chin is all grizzled, and you know you shouldn't be able to smell anything from an image, but you swear you can smell stale cigarettes. And this reflection for a moment has a look to it of just, it has seen and done things it's going to regret for the rest of its life. But in an odd way, it's okay because he knows.
Oh my God, I just pictured the lead character from Nobody.
Matthew, what would you say your character's most keenly felt desire to know would be?
Whether or not I'll achieve my goal of having a happy marriage and a happy motherhood.
You look and you see a house somewhere in the Midwest. You hear voices in the distance. And a small child, probably about 7 or 6, goes running across your vision. A woman steps behind you. She has long black hair. She actually looks like she might be African American. It's hard to tell in the darkness of the room. And she embraces you from behind and says, "You make beautiful kids." And the vision fades.
Ouch. All right, that ball's got to go.
Get away! Bam, 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 bam. Tyree starts dumping the magazine into the mirror.
Who does?
Tyree, the black guy.
Oh, shit.
Gunfire, all of a sudden, no one expecting it. Everybody except for Matthew's character has to make another fear check. Fear check is resisted with mental. If you have the resolve skill, you may add it.
We're all making a weirdness check now?
A gunfire.
Fear.
Civilians don't react well to gunfire. Trust me on that one.
Fear, and it's mental.
When you really hear it that close and inside of an interior space like that, trust me, Hollywood really underplays how loud that shit is inside a room.
The attribute is fear. It is mental. You may add your resolve bonus if you have it.
James is not being mean, and my character is actually hitting the floor because that's what she's trained to do when she hears something that loud next to her inside of a room like that. But she's hitting the dirt.
Okay, I just rolled an even 4.
Yeah, that'd be about right. So you get out of the way as he jumps the whole mag from this pistol. Ah! Into the mirror. And when he's done firing, Ruth's character's now recovered, everybody's recovered. You hear click, 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 click. He drops the mag, he gets ready to load another one. He's like, Sacre bleu.
Are you done yet?
Now, you all know he hit that mirror repeatedly, and yet not a single crack. In fact, whatever he fired at it appears to be missing. You see no rounds. You see no detritus. The shell casings where he fired on the floor next to his feet. But other than that, there's nothing there.
The bullet holes in the walls?
Alien artifact.
No bullet holes in the walls. The only logical conclusion, as much as it intimidates you to think about, is that somehow the bullets went through the mirror to somewhere else. Everybody roll fear. That'd be a mental
That's
again.
what I was thinking happened. All right, it's a dimensional doorway of some sort.
So fear.
That's what I was thinking. Character wouldn't think that, but I am. Character is just kind of freaking out right now because she didn't make that roll.
So James,
actually, no, maybe she did. It's a 5. What's the roll? Because she may have made that with her mental.
Right now, the roll is still 4 because I didn't specify anything different.
Okay, so yeah, she made that barely. It's a 5.
Okay. What was your question there,
Her
Michael?
mental bonus.
I was asking, is fear mental or is it just a straight roll?
Fear is
What
mental.
is it?
Mental.
Okay.
I made that because the mental bonus I have, so yeah. Barely.
6.
All right.
Made it pretty good then.
So, everybody's kind of calm. He starts putting the weapon. He's like, what the? That right, man? That right, man? Cover the ship back up. Cover the ship back up.
That's what I've been saying. Cover the ship back up, man. It's your suit. Cover it up. Right? Fuck it. Kathy goes over there and covers it up.
He backs away to a corner and he kind of sinks down with his back against the wall and he's holding his neck and rocking back and forth. The other two characters, which would be Michael and the prepper, roll a mental on him of T and 7. But for the EMT who has seen this kind of thing before because they're past, you're rolling a T and 3.
Okay.
I got a 4. I'm clearly convinced
You
that
have
he's
no idea why he's reacting the way he is.
No. He's obviously under some kind of microchip government control that's like frying his brain right now or something.
6. I just missed it.
Okay.
So, I roll in here medicine.
You can add medicine.
Yeah, or healer. Okay. Let's see. So that would be a total of 8.
You're over the DOS for the target by at least 1. You recognize it as being a stress/shock reaction, and with your other thing, you realize he saw something that triggered a past violent traumatic injury, probably how he almost died. He's having PTSD shocks.
Mm-hmm. Figured as much. I mean, not from the shooting, but from the way he's reacting now. I figured from the shooting, he probably just saw something he didn't like. Now he's having PTSD, which I'm very familiar with because I have a similar thing. All right, so I kneel next to him after carefully pointing the barrel of his 9mm in another direction away from anybody else.
Well, you know he didn't reload it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. You always treat a gun as loaded.
Point taken.
And I look at him and go, okay, take a breath, suck it in, hold it for 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale. 1, 2, 3.
He eventually starts trying to calm down. You successfully bring him back down.
All right.
During the process, you bring him down. Say it takes a few minutes. You hear him occasionally say something in French, which you don't speak, but you can tell it's some kind of disbelief. He's saying something can't be true.
All right. I'm not going to ask what you saw. That would be a bad thing. Not only that shit only works in movies. No. But I'm going to tell you, it ain't here. That we do know. The thing is covered up.
He reloads the weapon.
See it again.
Racks it and puts it away.
I trust you to go. I trust you so we can go down to the basement and get the power turned back on.
I'm good. And he puts out his hand for you in a fist to like bump / do some kind of jive handshake with.
Okay, let's get this done then. Oh, Mr. Suit, can I see your phone, please?
Michael, I believe he's asking to see your character's phone.
Oh, you're asking for my phone? Oh, yeah, sure. Not a problem.
And he doesn't really know you very well, so he's just calling you Mr. Suit for right now.
Oh, yeah, she's just
calling you Mr. Suit because she doesn't know you from Adam at this point. So
yeah.
She pops open. Yeah, this is 1989, so everything's still a flip phone. So she just flips it open. She's calling the power company to find out why is the power off, and if we can get the power switch back on. And she's going to use Bane's business card and name and number and address to basically pay the bill. Okay, he dumped this shit on us. He can pay for it.
So in the few minutes that she was calming down Tyree, what do Michael's character and Ruth's character do?
Okay.
I'm looking for strange signals and trying to figure out how much of an alien artifact the mirror is, because obviously it's an alien artifact.
It's actually not far-fetched.
Your little EMF meter is going wild in here. There's all kind of electromagnetic activity in here.
Basically, we've got a Ghostbuster situation here.
Put it down.
It's aliens!
Where's Ghost?
I step up to the mirror.
Okay.
Do I see any differences at all in its surface?
No.
I covered it back up. You have to peek behind the curtain, so to speak. Feel free to do that. I'm just saying that I could cover it back up.
So I am going to take a peek, but not at the front. I'm going to step behind the mirror and see if there's anything on its back.
Just the wood basing of the frame.
That's actually not a bad idea. I didn't even think to do that.
Any writing on the frame or anything like that? A sense of where it came from?
You don't see anything like an engraving or an etching or anything that we would look as like a tradesman's mark or, made in Italy. You don't see anything like that at all.
Mike, I just thought of something. pretty much every culture has a particular style in their art and their making of things. Once I'm done talking, it's a Nokia, right? So it would have a camera. If you can photograph that framework and see if we can't figure out what art style, what craft style it is, and we can pretty much maybe we can figure out where it comes from that way.
Yeah, but the thing is, everything is a flip phone at this point in history.
My flip phone from that time period had a camera though, because it was a Nokia.
Yeah.
It was a 2003.
So I
it's
do hate to bring this
1989,
up to you, gentlemen, but according to a quick internet search, the first mass market camera phone was the JSH04 in November 2000, sold in Japan. So his Nokia actually does not have a camera function.
Yeah, I took a look at the Nokia. I actually looked up the phones because I wanted to see what they had. Yeah, they were just flip phones. Camera phones arrived a couple years later.
Yeah, I was thinking, like I said, mine was a 2003 Nokia, so I was thinking maybe at 1990, maybe they already had cameras. Okay, my bad. I was just hoping that maybe we had that option. All right, so maybe you have a notebook on you or something to discuss some shit.
So I go downstairs, actually. I do have my briefcase. It should still be in the front room. I'll be back up. Okay.
It's not a bad idea. I'm just trying to think of someone we can track down the source of this mirror, because, damn it, this thing's got me pissed off because of the way it fucked with us.
Yeah, sure.
And
so
let's go ahead and get Tyree downstairs and everybody else downstairs and away from this thing so they can't fuck with us again in the meantime anyway.
Yeah. Does anything happen to us as we go downstairs?
You creep down the stairs, I would say very slowly and pretty scared, trying not to make a lot of noise. I want to ask for a stealth check. The group being a little bit paranoid now. It takes you about twice as long to get down the stairs as it normally should. Checking all the rooms, all the hallways, see if anybody came up with you. But the building is still unoccupied.
All right, then I'm just going to call the power company and the phone company and basically charge the restart bills to the law office, because they saddled us with this fucking white elephant. And the power turned back on and get the phones turned back on. I hate being isolated with no power and no phone.
Okay. So we'll let Matthew role play that phone call. While he's going to do that, what does everybody else do?
Well,
some good coffee. I don't know about that.
Drawing skill, but it's just a simple mirror, so by this point I have in my briefcase my pen that's stored in the briefcase, and I start sketching the mirror.
Okay. So you're up on the 6th floor, remaining there sketching the mirror?
Yeah.
Okay. Not a problem. Ruth, what's your prepper doing?
Oh. Hey, this sciatic is really bothering me tonight.
Well, I guess looking around the rest of
Flip around the what?
looking around and just seeing if there's anything else that's like weird or out of place.
Okay. Tyree takes up a position by the door, checking the street, because I see it as he would basically start backtracking a bit. He can't deal with the thing upstairs on the 6th floor. He's really out of his element here, but he can watch the street and look for trouble. That's something he knows, and it's familiar, so he's going to do that instead.
I'm not going to interfere with that.
Michael, your role to sketch it is a social test because it falls under artist. If you have the artist skill, you can use it. If not, you have a -3. Base target would be 4, which means if you don't have the skill, you need a 7.
Okay.
As it's also dark, I'm going to put another -1 penalty on there, so you really need an 8. While he's doing that...
You're falling down behind this thing, aren't you? Here, hold on. I got you.
While he's doing that, Matthew, your speech against the fearsome secretaries and roundabouts that all government facilities have is going to be an extended test. You will roll 3 dice, each die being a separate test. Count the number of successes.
Right.
It's a base difficulty of 4.
Right.
Do you have the speech skill?
No, I do not have the speech skill, but I have...
So it's going to be your social. It would be a -3. What's your social have a +1 bonus on it?
Yep.
So that means 2, so you need 6s. While he's doing that, Ruthie, roll me an awareness. That's a mental.
So, James, it would appear
Anyway,
I'm down with Parkinson's because I rolled a -8.
oh my god.
You draw something that was like essentially like the equivalent of stick figures and scribbles from some child putting it up in the refrigerator. It's just too unsettling right now.
That is so horrible. That is so horrible.
Ruth, what'd you get in your awareness?
God. I failed 1, but I got two successes. So
okay, I was actually talking to Ruth. Hold on, Matt. I was actually talking to Ruth. Give me a second. So you got.
I'm talking out to myself. I'm sorry.
And when you do that, your voice is so. And when you do that, your voice is so loud that it interferes with everybody else's signal.
I'm so sorry.
I know. All right, so Ruth, you had a 3. I heard. Is that correct?
Yep, 3.
You don't find anything in this place. Tyree was right. Almost everything's empty. But when you look back at the statue, you see something. I'm going to send you another private message because you may not tell everybody. That's up to you.
That would be a 9 and... $11. Okay.
Tell me if you got that.
Okay.
What does she do with that information?
More aliens.
At this point, Tyree really is just kind of tuning you out. You keep talking about aliens. He's still watching the street.
Like the aliens are controlling us now.
She's
Shit, did
pointing
they do
to the
anal probes while we
statue.
weren't looking?
And the statue, those people that made up the base, the ones that are chained at the neck to those chains, they all now strangely resemble the player characters.
Well, fuck me to a corn cob and call me buddy.
Needless to say, that's a little unsettling, so I need a mental test against fear, TN3.
This reminds me of the Twilight Zone episode, The Masks. Only our characters are delightful.
Okay.
You know, my sister heard my nephew Cyrus say that this weekend, and her eyes bugged out. That was so funny. He picked that up from me.
I got a 5.
You pass it, you don't lose any grip. Did everybody else pass the TN3 mental?
I was busy rolling for my other test, sorry.
Yeah, your other test succeeded. I heard your count before. I heard your other count before. You get the power back on.
Yeah, I failed 1, but I got the other 2 through. And I barely passed it. I broke even.
Okay.
So I'm a little freaked out, but not badly.
Okay. So unfortunately, hold on. That's what's called a partial success in Forbidden Lore. A partial success on a fear test, depending on the fear, still might cause a grip on reality loss. Give me 1 second while we check something.
Hold on. I got a text from Nathan. Hold on.
Okay, you don't lose grip, but you do gain the fear state. That's what happened. And I'll get to that in a second.
Okay. I see what my brother's telling. Ooh.
Just tell me when you're ready, Matt.
Mark was in a car accident. Well, my brother Mark was in a car accident.
Is he okay?
It looks like he is, but his car is totaled and his doggy is in the doggy ER.
Aww.
With a broken leg.
Okay.
So the corgi will be fine, but he has a broken leg.
Sorry to hear that. Okay. So your character doesn't lose any grip, but your character does end up gaining this thing we call an emotional state. Now in Forbidden Lore, I use emotional states so that the characters can and can't do things. Whatever has happened, whatever it is about the statue changing and you now resembling the people that are enslaved, it really disturbs you at a deep level. Not just a jump scare momentary reaction level, but at a deep emotional level. So your character right now has one step of the fear emotion, which means on certain things she works at a negative. And I will bring those up when they come at you. The good news is you're only in at mild fear, so it's easy to get rid of, relatively. After a few minutes of being safe, it will go away. But right now you're looking at that going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. All right? And then from the door, Tyree says, company inbound, French asshole on his way.
Oh, good. I can take out my fear emotion on him by beating the crap out of him.
And Tyree locks the door and pulls down the shade after turning the "we're not open" sign. Outside you hear pounding. And you hear yelling, open this door! Open this door!
There's aliens in here with doing anal probes. You don't want to come in, man.
Ruth?
He's French. He'd probably
Ruth.
enjoy it.
Ruth. Lose a destiny. That's this game's version of lose 50 XP from Dorcas Rising. That was just bad. The Frenchman, Henri, outside, who you met at the will reading, is just irate. He's still pounding the door. Open the door. I have a perfectly reasonable business proposition for you. You fucking colonials.
He's a relative, right? He's a relative, right?
Yeah.
He's a blood
Technically.
relative, correct?
What's that?
So we could sign this over to him in 1 year.
In a year, yes.
Yes. So why don't we let him in and agree to him that we will sell this property to him within 1 year and make him sign the contract that he will own this within exactly 12 months. He can have this white elephant and all that it entails, including, then I point to the statue.
Tyree says, yeah. That sounds good on the surface, but for some reason, I just don't like the idea of this asshole getting anything out of us.
Anything out of us. I want him to be us. Because notice the chain and thing around the fucking necks.
Now Tyree notices the statue. He's like, good God.
It's clearly a conspiracy.
He unlocks the door and lets Henri in. Finally, I swear. He takes one look at the statue. So it's true.
I grab his ass and haul him in. Slam the door and lock it.
He walks around the statue looking at it, making sure not to touch it. He did find the Diogenes Vulcan. Sorry, Ulysses and I always debated whether or not this was even real. The workmanship is exquisite. Are we sure it's genuine? It's not just something he commissioned to have made.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely, positively real.
I'm sorry. It occurs to me that with the stress of the events, we got off the wrong foot at the will reading. You must understand the business you currently sit in, I floated for the first 3 years it was in operation. So for me to get such an insult at the willing of the will, I overreacted. I'm here to make you an offer. I will buy the shop from you.
Drawing. Oh, hello, Henri.
Bonjour.
At this point, I've come down this.
Actually, at this point, almost evening. Bonsoir.
Yeah.
I am offering to buy the business from you and all of its inventory for $5 million.
Very good offer. Unfortunately, we've already signed the contract and we must own it for at least 12 months before we are allowed to sell it again. Otherwise, there will be legal complications.
A year.
However,
Of course it would be a
12
year.
months will be happy with it.
And he screams at something in French to the ceiling. And Tyree, who speaks French, kind of turns his head and goes, What gripe you get against Ulysses? Why do you think he slighted you with that? Because the bastard knows I won't live a year. Cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that. What do you have?
Your medical condition.
A month ago it was at stage 3. It's probably going to advance to stage 4 here in the next couple of months. Lung cancer.
If that's the case, then why are you wasting... I'm sorry. Let me backtrack, Henri. You know,
some of the items in the inventory that Ulysses collected were medical works. Everybody roll their interrogation, which is under research,
okay.
which is under mental, to see if you can
6.
tell you are being fed a line.
6.
Henri's going to drop Destiny to get a higher score.
I am going to do the same.
He has a total of 9 to be defeated.
Ooh.
I know.
Ooh. Not make it.
I do not make
With a
it.
6.
So we all believe
even
it.
exploded tide is like that.
Some of the texts that Ulysses collected weren't just rarities. They were ancient medical texts. And although it may seem like a man grasping at straws, some of those things are actually modern doctors as well, who are considered fringe, who were working with some of that ancient material. Particularly, there is a rumor that Nostradamus, the famous prophet, had discovered a cure to the Black Plague because he would constantly treat people with it, yet he never contracted it. And he also found a cure for cancers of the body. I know that Ulysses had some medical journals from current researchers who are conducting experiments that are best kept private into cancer research, and I'm sure they're in his inventory. I'm also sure he didn't want me to have access to it just because of the spat we had.
Saving someone's life seems a little extreme as a get revenge over a spat.
I did mock him for the loss of his children who had died in a tragic car accident because I was that mad at him and I did it in public.
Ah, yes, I did see how that can make someone swift kicking balls.
Well, suppose I should go make some arrangements. Wait, says Tyree. You just need the books, right? Well, yes. Write down what books you need. If we can find them, we can turn them over. You have to buy the whole business for it. We are technically family, right? Distant relations, but yes. Family's family, no matter how distant it is. I come from a place where family's all we have. And Henri seems a little actually touched by that. Anybody else say or do anything?
Tyree, we'll do what we can. We find the books, give you access to them.
Merci. Merci beaucoup.
In exchange, we call upon you for help with trying to organize this white elephant of a mess.
I'd be glad to help you organize the inventory and the business. I will have one of my... I forgot, what did Henri do again? Hold on.
I'm pretty sure he's going to try and rip us off.
I'll have one of my attorneys come by tomorrow to help you if you like. Just whatever you do, don't take the help of that Russian bitch.
Yeah, the sneaking suspicion of backstabbing fucking weasels who just like to eat each other.
No, it's not that. It's the Russian bitch is... He pauses for a moment to find the word in English. A mafioso. Towards the end of his life, Ulysses became less discreet about how he was shipping and moving things, and sometimes he used illegal services.
Ray, I hate to tell you
Customs.
this, but this is Chicago, and you're pretty much describing half the city, including the government.
He leaves contact information for you, and he says he'll have one of his lawyers' aides or a paralegal stop by tomorrow to help you organize things up.
Isn't this the time when one of the mayors was arrested and actually imprisoned?
No, Marion Barry is Washington, not Chicago.
No, I was thinking there was a Chicago mayor that actually gets arrested and actually ends up in prison sometime around the 2000s.
Okay.
Early 2000s. Or is that the governor? That's the governor.
So as Henri is walking out, a pair of other well-dressed gentlemen are walking up. Tyree goes, "Damn, suddenly we're popular." He looks at the party and sees if they get what he meant by that innuendo. Everybody rolled their social. See if you understood the innuendo he was laying down. If you have the
I understood the innuendo.
If you have the speech or streetwise skill, you may add that as well. Otherwise, the target number is gonna be a 6 because he's laying on pretty thick, making it obvious. But if you have the streetwise or the speech skill, it'll start at 3.
Actually made that one. So the vultures are circling.
No, Tyree is trying to communicate the business is being watched. Now that they've seen there's people in here moving about, multiple people watching the business are going to start showing up.
I know.
But
also, the vultures are circling too, which means we're going to have more like Henri showing up now.
These two very well-dressed gentlemen walk up. They appear to be much younger than he, and they're wearing much better suits. And Henri takes one look at them and kind of nods. He apparently knows them, and they leave. The two gentlemen appear to have a Middle Eastern look to them. Perhaps, I should say Mediterranean look to them. And the first one, who's very suave with slick black, fine black hair, says, "I'm terribly sorry. I don't mean to intrude, but we were wondering if you are the proprietors of Curiosities."
We are. Though at the moment the business is undergoing a little bit of a remodel. Could you leave your information and perhaps you could come back sometime tomorrow?
Well, actually, we're here to pick up something that we were asking to be imported.
Oh. You must be here for the mirror.
They look at each other, then look at you. No, actually, it is a ring.
Oh.
May we come in?
Of course.
Tyree puts his hand up and goes, "After all the shit we've seen today, I think we better do the conversation on the porch."
Yeah, I agree.
The guy smiles and goes, "Gentlemen, it is, although the daylight is waning, it is daylight outside and it's soon to get cold. We won't be a bother, please."
The boss.
Well, we don't really have a boss. We're all equal partners in this business, so it's what the group wants to do.
I was talking to the guys. He said,
I'm looking because David immediately remembers the old adage about not inviting the vampire across the threshold. You know what? Let's have this conversation outside.
Everyone is so suspicious, he says. Then he says something in Italian, which I don't think anybody understands.
No, I probably don't either.
All right. So you step outside the shop, and the gentleman goes, "My name is Andre Olivieri," and he hands you a business card. According to the business card, he is an attorney. A lot of those showing up at our doorstep today. And Olivieri says, "I represent some people that were asking for a ring to be imported. A very distinctive ring from Palermo."
Okay.
Now, Tyree has Streetwise, but I don't think anybody else does. That being said, The city is kind of famous for a particular thing at this time period. So everybody roll mental. Target number 5.
Okay. And again, I hit exactly 5.
So you realize that when he
6.
said Palermo and him looking Mediterranean, and Michael gets it too, these guys are probably Sicilian mobsters.
I figured as much.
9.
And the prepper
It
not only
wasn't
knows
exactly
Sicilian
rocket
mobsters,
surgery.
he actually recognizes the guy next to Olivieri as having been arrested at some point for mafia involvement in the United States. So he understands immediately we're talking to the mob.
He starts yanking on whoever is standing closest to him's sleeve.
Yeah, I mean,
Who
I
that
pretty
is.
much figured they were mobsters when you said Italian. When they started getting Italian vibes. So it wasn't exactly rocket surgery.
So I've just dropped an image into the general chat. Everybody take a look at it real quick. Because in addition to his business card, he holds up a photograph of the ring, and this is what you see.
Ah, a Sicilian.
That is indeed a Sicilian Triskeli. That's a traditional Sicilian Triskeli, the 3 armored legs around a central point. So,
You know it well.
this is the ring that we were looking for. It is called the Serpentine Palermo.
Sicilian, but
And this, like if you're looking down at the ring on top from the stone, the other 2 areas here are the band to the side. It's a dark crimson color. Around the central field of the 3 legs, you have what appears to be 3 serpents, each one holding another tail of the serpent in front of them around it as a base ring to hold the end of the gem. And this gem that the thing is
okay.
blazoned onto isn't a gem stone. It's a kind of semi-precious stone, red carnelian.
Right.
And
What's
the
the
band,
actual semi-precious stone made from?
red carnelian.
Red carnelian? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of important because it has a lot of symbology involved here.
It could, yes, I know. And then the band is gold, but it's been painted red in a dark crimson.
Okay.
This is the ring in question we were looking for. We were willing to pay $5,000 for its recovery. And we were talking to Ulysses about bringing it back, and he had informed us that he had found the item and was holding it for us for pickup.
Unfortunately, he has passed, and we have just inherited in the business, and we have not had a chance to do any sort of inventory, or frankly, we hadn't even bothered to even uncover anything in the store yet,
I
as far
see.
as taking tarps off of it.
Well, we did read about his demise in the papers, because we read the papers.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, then I'm obligated to give you this. And he pulls out what looks very much like a legal writ.
I look at the writ. What does it say?
It's a notice of violation of contract. Since money was already paid to the store, technically we can be guilty of fraud. You have 10 days to produce the item. If you do not produce the item to my offices in those 10 days, I'll have no choice but to take you into the court.
You realize this writ itself is evidence of fraud.
Wait a minute, I don't follow. How so?
Okay. You came
Hello,
here. You came here expecting a ring. Okay. Now, at this point, David is semi-winging it, but as a business professional, he might actually know. He might actually.
Oh, okay, you're blowing smoke.
He is blowing smoke, but he's
Okay.
a little bit confused about something.
Okay.
This is like. Well, I'll let the character explain. I'll let the character.
Yeah,
explain.
let's go ahead and roleplay it.
Yeah. Okay. You said you came here expecting a ring that we would have on the premises for you. You also came here with a legal document which you drafted before any evidence of a crime, saying that you're going to hail us into court for not turning over this ring.
So
This is like a police officer coming up to a house with no warrant and trying to arrest someone for resisting arrest.
So he points out that the ring, their notification the ring was there. Actually, let me play it as Olivier. Olivier says, we were notified the ring was available for pickup almost 12 days prior.
Okay, then.
Then we arrived and found the business locked. No one answering calls.
Well, yeah, Henri had passed away. This is the first time the building's been opened.
No one in his business who are his juniors are fulfilling the business's obligations. This is not fraud. This is simple tort.
Okay, we'll tell you what. What's the description of the ring?
In addition to the visual image I posted, it is listed in the writ as being an antique from Palermo. The writ would also list its size and dimensions, roughly its physical appearance, so it can be identified, and the emblem on the front of the stone.
Okay. Before we move to Endite Oil, look at these things at my house. I still really want that statue, though. It will look great. But, you know. Actually, you know what? You said your name was Tyrese?
Tyree.
Okay. Listen. I get one of the boxes. I say, look, I at least have some money. People are stealing all the stuff. I don't know what's going on with that mirror, but, I want to keep this statue away from this place because somebody's going to steal it. I have a pretty nice place in Clarendon Hills. Will you help me move this into the box, and then we can just put it over there?
I have to admit, that was pretty damn cunning.
It's precious to me. I buy it with great pain.
Lose a Destiny for the Tolkien reference out of the wrong universe. I was so hit bad by that Tolkien reference, I forgot what it is you were asking to have happen. What was it again you were trying to do?
Basically, it's a big statue, so I just want somebody to help me put it into a box.
Oh, the Diogenes Vulcan?
Yeah, the Diogenes.
Okay.
Then put it onto a trolley, and then I can have it stand next to me as I would go to the L train to my normal stop.
That statue is at least almost a ton of brass and copper.
Oh, it's that heavy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You have no clue how heavy that thing's probably going to be.
And moving something like that, it's a trick. So, no, I'm not doing that.
That heavy? You know, I never really touched it.
Plus, he turns around the book that Matthew had.
Move the statue around just to feel how heavy it is. It is heavy.
He turns the book around, the shopkeeper's notes, turns around and says, and plus this, like on page 3, that rule says the Diogenes Vulcan never leaves the lobby.
Really?
Yeah, it was
well, it's clearly made by aliens.
It's sad, but I guess if it's that heavy, I guess it'll be hard for anyone to steal.
That thing ain't leaving here.
Yeah, you're right. It's not.
I have a nasty
suspicion. Did you all forget another condition?
Bad things would happen to them.
Did you all forget another condition of this contract?
What?
From the moment we took propriety, we have to live here. As in, we got to sleep here tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean we never leave the building.
True. Look, it's late, and I'm knackered. I'm also hungry. I'm gonna get us a pie. Sound like a plan? Anybody coming with me?
I'll go back. Yeah. Sure.
I gotta go by my station. I have to go by the station and let my boss know what the hell's going on. I'm gonna use Ulysses' death as an excuse to get some time out. figure out what the fuck I'm going to do now that I got to live here.
I'll go home, talk everything over with the wife. I'll also get, some, like a proper suitcase ready if I have to stay here. And while I'm over there, I'll read these papers.
All right. Looks over the prepper. What about you?
I don't know. I guess maybe I'll just stay here.
Which one on your pie?
Go up there and pick a room.
Player trying to think if there's any conspiracies revolving around pizza.
There's conspiracy about everything. Thankfully, this is well before Pizzagate, so the only thing I think of is that maybe someone's out there. You may have heard some kook say the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is actually predictive programming.
Okay. He'll say, I'll eat just about anything, so long as it's, not made in a factory.
Right. Okay. With that, Tyree goes to go get the pie. You got your power back on, you got your water back. Prepper's going to stay here. Let's role play the conversation with Mike and his wife, and then we'll do a conversation with Matt and his boss.
Sure.
All right. So you call up your honey. Carol answers the phone.
Evening.
So, I'm curious about something.
Mm-hmm.
It is like 6 o'clock in the evening, and you're not home.
Yeah. So,
About that.
it would appear that we've inherited a white elephant.
I don't get the term,
At
honey.
least it might. What?
I don't understand the term, honey.
It originates from India before the British Empire. Basically, a white elephant was an elephant is a really, really expensive animal to take care of. And an albino elephant was considered sacred for various religious reasons. I don't know, it's just hearsay. But basically, it was an animal that you had to feed and feed and feed, but it couldn't actually do anything for you. And so, whenever somebody would be gifted a white elephant, it was a way to insult the person that you were gifting it to.
I see.
I found out that...
Still doesn't tell me why you're not home for dinner.
Well, I'm on the L train right now. When I get back, I will tell you absolutely everything that happened. I've had an interesting day.
Okay. And then you can have a talk with your daughter.
Which one?
Which one is always the problem?
So many.
It kind of depends, to be honest.
Morgan.
Oh. What?
I'll let her tell you.
Okay. Morgan?
Daddy, let's not do this over the phone. Let's be mature adults and have a face-to-face conversation where the
You're correct. I am a mature adult.
power dynamics of our relationship are not obscured, and I just really think it'd be better done in person, Daddy.
Well, this sounds like this should be fun. Okay. I hang up. Okay. I suppose I will be seeing you in about 30 minutes.
When you arrive at your little, pristine, middle American dream house, your good daughter is out in the yard playing with the dog. She comes up, she gives you a hug. Daddy! When she breaks the leg, she says, "Are you going to kill Morgan? Is she dead?"
Is she your good daughter?
How was school, Ash?
School was very good.
Okay.
So you haven't heard yet. Well, this is
No,
so
I
juicy.
haven't.
Morgan was not only not paying attention in class, she was looking at, well, the official statement is grossly inappropriate materials.
Lovely.
Everyone I've spoken to said it was porn.
I go inside.
She's trailing right behind you.
How do I find Morgan, and how do I find Carol?
Carol's in the kitchen. She gives you the perfunctory required kiss on the cheek and then the lips. Relates Morgan was sent home for not paying attention in class and reading well. She holds up a copy of the book that she has downloaded from the internet. Like just the cover pictures. You see on it the Book of Dead Names. And it's got this cheesy, like 1990s Simon & Schuster bad paperback cover to it with something that's supposed to be a pentagram, but not quite. Inside are illustrations of like torture, duress. There's nudity. There's various demons and stuff. A bunch of fake Sumerian. She's reading the Necronomicon in class.
God, I remember that. I used to freak out over that thing.
Honey, what did I tell you about trying to summon demons in class?
She's in her room. You have to ground her this time. You realize that.
Yeah.
She behaves like this because you let her get away with things.
Why did I tell you about summoning demons in class? I love it. I love it. It's just so blasé.
So, he traipses up to your daughter's room.
It's just so blasé about
She has not closed the door because she knows you'll just open anyway, so she's left it open. She's on her bed, reading manga. Sulking.
What if I told you about trying to summon demons in class? It's so cool.
I imagine Morgan is a precocious 16-year-old. Dyed
All
hair.
16-year-old precocious.
Isn't CSI a thing at the time?
I don't remember exactly when CSI.
It's been running on television for so long that it's hard to remember.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was just saying that it's been around for so freaking long. I can't remember when it's not around.
Who are you? Okay. So,
We are 1 year early. It starts in 2000.
yeah. What class were you in?
History, and it was boring because I've already read the chapter. I swear, I don't know why we have to go to school. I mean, all we have to do is assign us reading assignments, go take our tests. It'd be so much more efficient. But no, it's all about the control of the youth, the control of the mind, the fascist industrial. Sorry.
Kid, if you start throwing around words like socioeconomic, they don't make you sound smart. They're so big that it's impossible to attach any actual meaning to them.
So brevity's not just the soul of wit, it's the soul of philosophy as well. She says the smile, trying to get you on her good side.
Morgan, you're 15. You're literally at the age when colleges start caring. Okay?
Yes, Daddy. Do I have to be grounded? I mean, it's only going to get in the way of my studies if I'm forced to do something I don't want rather than rewarded and participating in positive reinforcement for my behaviors. Blink, 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 blink. Doe eyes, doe eyes. She is trying to use her speech upon you to get you to do what she wants. She has a total of 6. Roll your mental to
Is it
resist.
working? Oh, is it working? You know, that's actually a cogent argument.
Is that social or is that mental?
For you to resist is mental.
Wait, I also have speech. So that would make this an opposed check, right?
No.
Speaking, yes.
Okay, so to resist is mental. Okay.
Your resisting is
7.
mental. Okay,
7.
you managed to just get her by. You would actually resist with either meditation or resolve, depending on what they're trying to do. She looks disappointed, as you say. Michael?
One of the major problems, I know. That is my character taking a breath. Sorry
Okay.
about that, James. Okay.
Make sure we have connection.
One of the problems when you have a daughter who is already a bookworm is that you can't quite figure out how to ground her. It's a real problem, and it requires a bit of logistical flexibility mixed with a small dose of ruthlessness. And I appreciate your efforts in attempting to take advantage of that fact. So I apologize in advance.
For what?
If you can't start paying attention in class, I'm going to have to speak to Miss Davenport. I think they're going to have to find someone else to play Lady Macbeth.
She blinks. She stares at her father, who has just betrayed her, who has just committed what she is convinced is a crime against drama itself.
It was ruthless, dude. Utterly fucking ruthless.
And she manages, since her die exploded, not to go into a 15-year-old tirade about how unfair everything is. No one understands. No one feels anything like she does. And says, yes, Daddy.
I have to admit, absolutely fucking brilliant.
Moving on to Matthew's character. So, you call your boss, or you go show up and talk to your boss?
Oh no, you gotta go up and show up to the fire captain, man.
Okay. When you find them, they're doing checks on the truck. Some of the firefighters are busy harassing one another, which is apparently something you do when you're a firefighter, whenever you don't have a call.
Oh yeah, you have to do the whole macho posturing thing.
And you find him after he's just come done lifting. Because apparently you also lift a lot of weights, from what I've heard.
Oh yeah, you have to stay in shape.
He comes down, he's like, hey, what we got?
Well, apparently I have had a relative pass away. I was named in the will, and I'm putting air quotes around this, boss. I have inherited wealth. Do you get my drift?
Tell me it means you're not quitting.
I am not quitting. As a matter of fact, if anything,
Thank God, you're the only paramedics we have that actually knows what they're doing.
To figure out how to dig myself out of the hole I have gotten myself into.
How's that?
So let's just say this inherited wealth basically puts me in a deeper hole that I'm already in.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to show up for your shift, right?
I will have to take some of my family time off.
I'm sure you can work it out so that you can still show up for shift and make all this work. He rolls a speech against you. He has a total of 6. You
Yeah.
can resist
I figured he was.
with your
Oh
mental
yeah, I'm definitely resisting.
meditation if you have it.
Oh yeah. Oh shit, yeah.
Excuse me.
That's great. Okay, so 6 plus, it's a 4. 4 is a 2, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so 6 plus 2, that's an 8. So meditation's a 1.
You're
That's
over.
a
You beat him.
9.
You beat him.
So it's 11.
He doesn't guilt you into saying or make a commitment you can't actually keep. You're good.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Chief, but until I figure out what kind of disaster my deceased family has gotten me into, trying to keep promises I can't keep is just not going to work out, and frankly, it endangers the public.
How much time off are we talking about? 2 days? 3 days?
I'm afraid I'm just going to have to use up the friggin'. I'm just going to have to use up my family leave for the year until I can figure it out. If I can come back early, I will. Just don't want to make promises I can't keep.
You realize you're leaving me with Kyle. Kyle!
And because of that, I will owe you daytime.
Damn right you will. He goes and signs the paperwork.
I don't know who Kai is, but I'm assuming he is bad news.
And here's what we will
Irresponsible asshole.
end the session tonight with giving Ruth a final scene. And we're about halfway through the adventure, by the way.
Yes, let's get rid of the final scene.
So, Miss Prepper. Sorry, Mr.
Prepper.
Prepper, you're there in the shop. The phone rings. Ring, 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 ring.
The phone in the shop.
Uh-huh.
What kind of phone
You're
is
loving
it?
the shop, man.
So, as it is an antique shop, he's actually got a model like the old, you put the receiver down on top of the box kind of phone. But below it, you see in a concealed compartment an actual keypad to dial it like a modern phone. It's just basically the outside's for show.
Well, it's not a cell phone, so it's not going to be emitting any weird signals, but it still might be suspicious, so
Yeah.
kind of like
Really are paranoid.
pulls it off the hook, but sets it down so it's not like right up against his ear, and then goes, "Hello."
Hey, it's Tyree. That pie is gonna be a little late. I need you to come bail me out.
Tell me wow. Did the feds pick you up?
No, the feds don't pick me
Are
up.
they
It's
moving
all
in? Did they find
local.
out?
Things happen. I was picking up the
Oh.
pie, and then other things happened because other things happened because things were said that should have been said by people who should have known better than not to say them. And then fists flew, another fist flew, and long story short, I'm in jail for assault. Which is totally not my fault. I was only defending myself. Tyree has the jailbird disadvantage.
Well, suppose I'll come bail you out.
Thank you. They're gonna make a stink about it because since I have some past criminal charges, all bullshit, I assure you, it might be a little expensive. They said the bail set at $1,000.
Say what, huh?
My bail's been set at $3,000.
$3,000? I don't know if I even have $3,000.
Find it somehow. I cannot spend another night in here, man. Otherwise, when you come here in the morning to get me, there'll be more charges.
Oh, okay, well, I'll see what I can do.
All right. And that's where we will end the sessions. We're actually about halfway through it. We will pick it up